Alright, Alicia, let's have a look at your script here. Inequality is a fact of life. Is this an acceptable position to adopt? Now, first of all, if you want to tackle a question like this, it is a fact of life. Now, my understanding of this is that inequality cannot be solved like this. It cannot be completely eliminated. Completely eliminated. Right? Now, is it true? Okay. As long as I believe you can see this as like a realistic kind of question. Is it realistic to reduce inequality or solve inequality? Is it realistic? Okay. You will see that we are talking about the future. Can we, eventually solve inequality? There are 4 criteria that you can use. One, okay, past effort that has been successful. Okay. Secondly, past effort that has failed, and some challenges, some opportunities. Right. So bear this in mind. This is good for your brainstorming and for coming up with your arguments. If there are things that you can show to prove that some things we do have reduced inequality, then you can say, yeah, inequality is not a fact of life. There's something we can do to help mitigate it. So let's have a look at some of the points I have here. Okay, your intro is good. This is about inequality, stereotypes. Okay, yeah, stereotypes. A bit harder to answer these stereotypes. These are very soft things. Okay, you don't have very hard facts to justify this. However, something like this, income inequality, yeah, you have a lot of things to justify how governmental support has actually reduced or mitigated inequality. Okay, the key word is mitigated. It has mitigated income inequality. So you talk about how SkillsFuture and all that. Yep, fantastic. Improving social mobility somewhere. I think you did mention that. Some things you can also take note. I think you did a crash course on poverty. I don't know whether you did that before or after, but you can talk about how Grameen Bank has reduced inequality in poorer communities in Pakistan. Okay, reduce inequality in poorer communities through the use of microfinancing. And not only is it giving money, rather lending money more easily to poor people, it also benefits women. So there's this element of gender here that you can bring in. Not only is it solving income inequality, they also put financial power in the hands of women, okay, thereby improving gender equality at the same time. You can kind of draw that connection. Okay, some I would say sweeping statement here. You say such problem is no longer as evident. Quite hard to justify this. Yeah, that's why your teacher said this is subjective. Okay, it's not that it's no longer as evident, just that it appears to have been mitigated. Appears to be easing, or the past effort appears to mitigate. Effort appears to mitigate or alleviate inequality. Alleviate inequality. So remember we talk about use of hedges. Yeah, you can use them over here. And then the same problem here again. Okay, such gender inequality is no longer as evident. I get where you're coming from, but then you see your teacher says it's not true. You say, okay, such effort has maybe improved, appears to have improved equality. So when you say it's no longer as evident, they read it as it's no longer there. Okay, so we just like switch it a little bit. Just say gender equality, gender equality. I think you meant inequality. Yeah, you say gender equality appears to have improved over the years, over the decades. So Mala Yousafzai, good. Okay, link is good. This is not a political problem. This is a social problem. Now we talk about the four things: past effort, success, past effort failure, challenges, opportunities. Now, why don't you talk about the opportunities here? People are becoming more and more aware of racial issues. People are becoming less tolerant of injustice. So, inequality is not a fact of life. Then you bring in the Black Lives Matter movement. I think it's a bit more recent. Okay, people are less tolerant of injustice today. Of injustice. Now, this form of injustice can be manifested in the this injustice can be manifested in the form of inequality. Okay, you can write that, which is manifested in the form of inequality. Okay, in the form of inequality. Okay, they're pretty similar. People are less tolerant. Yep, Black Lives Matter movement. You can use that. Then what else? Yeah, you see, it's a fact of life. It's a fact of life. Is it? We might have to unpack this. This is a vague term, right? Okay, maybe is when you say it's a fact of life, is it cannot be solved. Okay, you might want to say, oh, inequality can be solved or can be eased. Okay, it can be eased. Okay, so yep, that's it for some quick feedback here. Your teacher has given you some feedback. Yeah, they say most arguments are well developed. Good. Okay, here more evidence that can be cited to prove how inequality has been alleviated to some extent. This is exactly what we talk about, right? How we have achieved success in addressing inequality. What are some of the effort over there? Let's think about effort. Maybe give you a bit more examples here. Gender inequality. What effort has been done? Has been undertaken to reduce gender inequality, to improve gender equality? Well, efforts such as maybe, I guess, the Me Too movement. Okay, possible. Inequality, gender inequality. Companies nowadays increasingly they're pressured, okay, to hire fairly, okay, and pay fairly. In the past, they could get away with it, but nowadays it's harder because there are strong regulations that demand companies to treat their employees fairly. So if any woman feels that she is being underpaid, okay, as compared to her male colleagues, right, she can raise this to the Ministry of Manpower, or in most developed countries, she can raise it to the upper level and say, I'm not being paid fairly. Okay, then you have income inequality. Quite a lot to talk about. I am surprised you only have one or two paragraphs to talk about this income inequality. You can talk about some challenges facing income inequality as well, right? How income inequality sometimes, it cannot be solved. It's just an inherent part of life. Think about how rich people, they can use money to give their children more advantage in life, okay, through education perhaps. Okay, money to give some advantage in life through what? Through education. Yep. So there's some things to take note. Hey, what other kinds of race? Yeah, you can talk about affirmative action. Affirmative action. Yeah, affirmative action in university admission. So affirmative action means you reverse inequality by giving an advantage to people who come from disadvantaged backgrounds. Perhaps making it easier for African Americans to enter universities. Yeah, that's a kind of affirmative action. Okay, giving them a slight advantage. Okay, so that's it for this one. Okay, if you have questions, let me know. I think it's pretty well done. So good job.